Hello and welcome to the 14th installment of the Extreme Hardware podcast. I'm your host, Alex, and I am joined by a very loud, noisy, and ADHD Chris.
I don't have ADHD anymore. The doctor said so.
Right. Okay, perfect. So, along with Chris, we have our certified manlet, 5 foot 1 inch short man, Simmons.
Yeah, we're just running with that, aren't we?
Yes. Look, I know you're 5 foot 0.05 inches, but
Oh my God.
I rounded it up for you, you know?
I don't know. It seems like you keep stepping down like an inch every week.
Yeah, it's only 4
It's
foot
okay.
7.
People start to shrink as they get older.
Chris, how tall was he again? 4'5"? Was it 4'3"?
I think 4'2".
Simmons, if someone made you a deal
Okay.
and they said
Well,
they
yeah,
give
we have
you
our full-
a foot of height vertically, and you would also have to get a foot of height horizontally, would you accept it?
I don't think I am going to be permitted to answer this the way I want to answer this.
Just have the stretch tool and just expand you.
Well, no. That's not what I was implying at all. But hey.
And moving on from our 3 foot 1 inch Simmons, we have the ever toffee hating but good candy sense and a decent palate Frick Frock.
Speaking of candy, Frick, what's your opinion on Hershey's cookies and cream?
Do you have a candy bar in your mouth right now, Chris?
You know,
You goddamn know it.
Is it a Hershey's cookies and creams bar?
Why
I
else
don't
do
know
you think
if
I
you-
said that?
if
That
you've
is the
done
most
this or not,
American thing to do.
cynical, but if you go on YouTube and you type in Hershey's Cookies and Cream review, I'm literally like the first thing that comes up. And
Well, I'm too lazy to watch that, so...
And if I remember correctly, you got like
Oh, no, but
1.4
here's the thing.
papayas out of 6.
that video is my most hated video that I've ever made. Like, go and read the comments on that video. Oh my God. Dude,
Okay, I'm going to do this
they're
now.
so angry.
Yeah, me too.
What?
They're so angry.
Frick Frock 999 Hershey's.
I've sent the link.
There's like other people stealing your style here, Frick. Oh, Andrew sent it. Thank you. I love you. All right.
Wow. It's got 200. Yeah, so it's about a 40.
Yeah,
sorry,
they're
a 60%
pissed.
like
They
ratio.
hate it.
Wow.
Let me read the comments. Why you got to hate on my...
1.8 papayas out of... Frick!
Horrible.
No, you're wrong.
Hang on. No, it's a bad candy bar. It's
Alex,
really
no, you're
bad.
both
also
wrong.
No, it's really bad. Like, okay, I'm going to say why I think it's bad. I can't remember why Frick said it was bad. It's been a while since I watched this. But it is the worst way to do cookies and cream. It doesn't taste like cookies or cream. It's
I
just
agree.
white for
Overly
the sake
sweet.
of being white. It's waxy and it's fake crispy. Like, it doesn't taste... The texture's not proper. It's
Yeah,
weird.
like
It
if-
just doesn't taste like anything.
If I want cookies and cream, I'm going to get ice cream.
Yeah.
Ice cream is cold.
Yes.
That's why you
I
put it in the
find it-
microwave.
I find the Hershey's cookies. I've only had like 2, but I find them
Thing
way
with-
too sweet.
I
as well.
talked about this before.
Mhm.
I
It's just too
recently
thin,
reviewed
like,
that Hershey's collaboration, that big one that everyone was hyping up, that they were spending. Yeah, they spent
the
millions
Reese's
of dollars
Pieces
in
thing.
marketing it and promoting it, and it
They spent millions of dollars and they couldn't spend like $5
awful.
making
It
a
was
decent
like
piece of
Hershey's
chocolate.
does two
No.
things: either they go way too sweet or they go way too bland. There's no in between. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most controversial video I've ever made.
Do you know what I
is
think they
Hershey's
could have
cookies and
done to
cream.
make it good?
And from that day, I still get comments about that. People are like, "How? You're wrong. You're wrong."
I just left you on.
like, instead of doing Reese's Pieces like the bits or whatever in a candy, they could have done Mars bar style with a layer of Reese's Pieces like
And yet,
stuff in the middle.
they could have had like it
think that
shaped like
would
a
have been
giant square Reese's Pieces or something, anything. But they not we mix pieces in bar and serve. That's all they did.
Big Pepe moments.
When are we going to talk about the tech things?
What? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're a tech podcast. Man, so how's
So-
that been computers?
Okay, so moving on to tech. Thank you, Andrew, for distracting us. Bringing us back onto topic. Well, the first one's actually kind of interesting. This thing that's been going around on Twitter, I'm sure quite a lot of people have seen it. Artists are provoking, well, I wouldn't say artists, just like a lot of people are just provoking big companies like Nintendo and Disney to sue bots that steal shirts or steal art from Twitter and plonk it on shirts. So if you guys don't know, there's actually quite a few people upset about bots on Twitter that troll through Twitter, and anytime someone posts anything really, like a picture or a piece of art, it looks for comments that basically say, I want this on a shirt, this needs to be on a shirt, I'll buy this if it's on a shirt, etc., etc.
Gee, wowee, I hope this is on a shirt.
Yeah,
I hope
something
this
like that.
podcast is on a shirt.
So it takes the image, plonks it on a shirt, and they make money off of it for doing zero effort. And it's also slightly like stealing, because it is. And, well, it could be. So now people upset about this, especially artists upset about this, are getting people to tweet images such as, Mario with the I committed copyright fraud or something, or please Disney sue me or something like that. And I want this on a shirt. I want this on a shirt. And then the sites have it up, and
it normally stays up for like maybe 2 hours tops.
Apparently they actually review them. It all started out with somebody who just wrote, this site sells stolen artwork, do not buy from them, on a picture. And then it evolved into a picture of Mickey Mouse saying, I'm Mickey Mouse and I smell like rotten eggs. Haha. Captioned, not licensed by the Walt Disney Company. This is not a parody. We committed copyright infringement and want to be sued by Disney. We pay all court and tribunal fees.
Okay, so that shirt I think got the most or that image got the most popularity, and I think that one was only up for maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah. This shirt was actually deleted faster than expected. Most shirts are still up and way older than this one. I wonder why. Well, the fun continues here. Says the person who made the image.
So technically, if this company are they based in the US? They're based elsewhere.
I don't even know. See, I assume they are based in the US, like most of these, or maybe abroad, so it's actually a bit more difficult. I mean, there's all sorts of companies that do this, is the thing. But you're not really going to expect like Joe Average on DeviantArt to be able to say, hey, you're stealing my things. Take this down or I will sue the heck out of you.
Yeah, they would just ignore
Well, I mean,
that.
if they're based in the US, then they could easily just like slightly modify the art, and then technically they'd be totally legal to distribute it.
Or if they were based in China, they don't have to modify
they get caught by
anything.
customs on the way in.
Yeah. Nah, Frick, you can't really just like slightly modify something and call it transformative. That's not really going to hold up. It's like, yes,
You can't make
added
Mario
a
green.
tiny amount of lens flare. If you make Mario green, that's called Luigi. You can't add like a tiny amount of lens flare to a picture or something and say, "Yep, this is a brand new image." Like, no, that's the same
Or
image.
is it?
That's very clear. It is. If you run a checksum on the two image files, it will return different results. It's still
It was a
the
while
same
ago,
image.
and these were really popular. I think in the early 2000s to mid 2000s, this whole trend of these horrible shirts with these awful slogans on them, and they would say things like, "That's a horrible idea. What time?" Or like, "Oh, don't talk to me until I have my coffee." It was like,
Oh god, yeah.
dude,
Just
just
black
hang on.
t-shirts with white text on it are just by default the worst shirts that exist. They are all exactly the same. They're all like that, and I think people who wear them should be beaten.
I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but that era of like I was actually earlier than that. I wouldn't say like the 90s, like late 90s to like 2009 of graphic tees is the worst era for graphic tees in the world. It's the era of black tees with a really crappily pasted thing on top that has super cringy stuff on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, was it
God.
PUBG? I think PUBG came out with like a t-shirt and it's just so crappily done. And just like, it's just like, haha, XD, I'm so funny. I've got my favorite anime on a t-shirt. And it's like printed by some crappy thing, wears off in the first wash or something.
There was, I actually saw one of those out in the wild. I just remembered this. I think it was sometime last fall. I just saw a genuine human being in his 20s out in the wild wearing a shirt that said, "Cool story, babe. Now make me a sandwich on it." In the year of our Lord 2018. Why did he wear that?
Yeah, it's
Why?
stuff like that.
They're
Like,
basically Facebook quotes put on shirts.
yeah. I mean,
I think
it's
those
like
would be preferable because at least you get some kind of aesthetic if it's like a screenshot of a Facebook comment.
Yeah, that's a little bit funny. Like if it's like that really bad sort of English to Chinese to English translation. That's always
It's me
quite
a
funny.
meme. Would you ever wear a shirt that said "Make me a meme" on it?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Like, so long as it's not taking itself seriously at all and looks slightly aesthetically pleasing. Oh, like that?
yes.
Where it's,
Yes,
I wouldn't wear that.
That's a dog wearing a hat.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the thing. No, I wouldn't wear that. Like the one you said, the Born to Die, blah, 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 blah. I would wear that. It's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Yes, the rage face. So in my final year of high school, some guy was so proud because he bought a t-shirt that had all the rage faces on it. And this was like, the meme was dead already, but he'd spent like $70 buying this t-shirt.
Oh no!
Okay, actually, out of interest, what do you guys think about those Kim Jong-il?
Hang on, Alex. I just posted in the chat. Was that the shirt that he had?
It was. I think it might have been, but it was black and white. Like imagine that, but black and white.
The funny thing about Rage comics is that those actually have to be licensed to like legally sell them. Payday 2 introduced a mask for I think it was You Mad Rage face, and it had
a troll face, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I don't know. It was one of them, but like it had to be removed from the game because it was copyrighted, and the guy threatened to sue for unlawful use of their image. So they just replaced the asset with like a generic clown.
Here's what you do for future reference for any artists out there, for anybody who makes any sort of art that goes on the internet, and you find out that some company has like stolen your work and they're using it for something, do not sue them immediately. Wait till it's out for a little bit. Wait for it's out for like a month or two so they can sell a bunch, and then sue the hell out of them and make a bunch of money off of it. Because if you sue them off the bat, you're not going to make any money. They're like, okay, we'll remove it. But if you sue them after they've sold it for months and months and months, you get some of that sweet profit, baby.
I can't tell if this is good advice or not.
Legal advice legal advice to Frick Frock.
Yeah, Frick, will you
please show me my next venture of Chuck Norris fact t-shirts, and we'll make millions together.
Oh God, hang on. We're going to Amazon right now. Let's see if we can buy some.
So
Chuck Norris fact
No, because
t-shirt.
Yeah, because going back to those t-shirts, they were straight up sold on. Some of them were just straight up being sold on Amazon.
So wait, what do you guys think about that Kim Jong-un glorious
the shirt was cash? The shirt. Oh, so that is an awesome shirt. The quality, the thing about meme shirts or any sort of shirt like that is that it's funny for a while, but the quality on those things is often horrible. But with the shirt was cash. Their stuff is really good. The quality of those shirts, fantastic.
I actually, I own that one.
Oh, you do?
Wait, no, I completely forgot. I haven't told the story. Like, I forgot about the story. So, when I came to Canada, like, I didn't bring a lot of t-shirts and stuff because they were like, it was like, oh, this is the perfect time to throw out a bunch of like my old clothes. I'm not going to bring them with me. So I forgot to do the washing one day, and I'm like, I just grabbed the first t-shirt that I saw, and on the back, it doesn't have him, but it's the same scenery. So I was like, okay, whatever, it's just whatever t-shirt. And so I went out to like the park and with my family and stuff and walking around. Like lots of people are looking at me, and one guy's like, he like pointed and said, that's quite funny. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then some guy comes up to me and he's like, oh my God, that shirt is absolutely hilarious. I'm like, oh, it just dawned on me. I'd been walking around for like an hour with Kim Jong-il on my shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
There actually
So-
are a few t-shirts that I want to get, but the problem with like this kind of thing where you have bots stealing all of these is, oh god, I don't know if I'm getting the official one or not. Like in these couple of cases, I actually have traced it back. I know these are officially sanctioned, but I don't know. I'm really wary about it, and I'm really apprehensive about doing anything like that. Andrew, what is that? Is that a fork without tines?
So cynical in
Yes.
general, if you get a link and it's to Redbubble or Zazzle, don't buy it. That's a good, in general, that's a good rule.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, in this case, one of them is from Redbubble, but it's the guy posted is like, yeah, this is a thing that I made. Go buy it.
No, I
So
mean,
I
dude, no,
trust him,
dude, the
but-
quality is awful. Even if it is from the official order, the quality is horrible.
Oh yeah.
Redbubble has some of the
Is it?
quality
Yeah.
shirts I've ever used in my life.
I'm also I really don't like ordering clothing online because I can't try it on. Because it's like I don't know if I need to get an XL or a 2XL. Like,
Oh boy, really? Are you?
no, it's not that. It's does it fit in the shoulders because I have broad shoulders that are not related to my fat tub of lard in my gut.
I
Uh.
don't think you'll have that issue, Chris. How wide are your shoulders?
I don't know. I haven't measured them lately.
Yeah, well,
I don't have a device to measure
What?
them on hand.
yeah. I mean, do you have string?
No, I've got.
Wait, how
Let's
do you not have
Google it.
string?
Why would I have string just lying on my desk?
Why
What about a
wouldn't you?
USB cable or something? I'm sure you got one of those.
You got a
No,
USB cable.
I've been trying
Gotten
to
rid of
clean
all
out
the
my
ports in
desk.
his
That's part
computer.
of the problem.
He's becoming Apple.
Call me
It's going
Steve
full
Jobs because
wireless.
I'm innovative. But yeah, no, it's like I bought like one size fits all gloves off Amazon because, well, shoot, those are stretchy. Those will probably fit. And I bought a scarf because if you guys can screw up the measurements on a cloth rectangle, you don't deserve to be in business.
By the way, fun fact: they almost always screw up the measurements on
Especially if
those.
it's coming from China. That's why
Like,
you
go
really got to.
measure
If
your scarf.
if you're buying something and it says the shipping time is like 3 weeks, that's coming from China, and it's going to be one size too small.
Oh yeah, well, the thing is with Amazon, they just Chinese sellers just use Amazon warehouses now, so you still get like prime shipping on it.
Yeah,
So
those are wonderful.
I
Sure.
I've
actually quite like
decided that
the
I'm going to
second
buy
one.
you all these moose mittens for Christmas. I hope you wear them.
Oh,
Dude, I
I will
will.
absolutely wear them.
Very good. They're $40.
so cute.
But they're moose mittens.
Absolutely not.
I mean, if you want to pay for them,
Wait, no, hang on.
No,
How
if
much
you
are
wanna
they?
pay for
Oh no,
them,
they're
I'll
only
let them.
$25. Okay, that's not bad.
Why are there so many like Kim Jong Un t-shirts?
because there's no way in hell he's going to see it because he's in a messed up
Here's the
backwards
thing.
country dictatorship.
He's the only one with
Alex,
internet in
I hope
North
you
Korea.
understand that he is the dictator. So
No, I know, but he's ruined his own
He's
country.
the-
So
Why do we need a bunch of
He's got a Steam account.
also, yeah, glorious Pyongyang has internet.
but I do find it kind of funny.
He
Like
plays Call of Duty.
I do find it kind of funny making. So when there's like whole capitalist ventures about communist stuff, I find it quite funny.
yeah, that is some good irony. Also, reminder that I think the next in line dude for the Saudi crown is like a huge weeb and has a Steam account.
He's not. He's a prince, but there's like 500 princes.
Ah,
in
yeah,
Saudi
that
Arabia.
doesn't really matter. Like, I don't know, 4 wives
I
and you
think
can
that
divorce them. It's fine.
there's always a bunch of Kim Jong Un shirts, but there's never any Xi Jinping shirts.
Well, Rick, I wonder why they wouldn't
I
be
wonder
making
why
shirts
there's
of
not any
this
Xi
man.
Jinping.
So many good manufacturers.
Oh, you've said his name correctly. I was like, yeah, I've just come to know him as Winnie the Pooh.
Congrats, your brain's been infected by memes. Welcome to the internet.
How's it going, Chris?
It's going poorly. I have the big sad again.
Oh, good damn it.
Yeah, it's not going to go away.
I'm sure you can get a Xi Jinping shirt. And you can get Winnie the Pooh. There you go. I actually quite like the shirt.
Wait, why? No.
I actually quite
All
like
right.
that.
All right, I was gonna say before we go too far down the rabbit hole, do we want to actually talk about some tech stuff?
Oh, yeah.
We're
how
showing
about the
t-shirts on a
computers?
podcast,
So,
and I'm sure what could go wrong.
Well, the thing I love is that like Andrew's like, oh no, you need to get back to tech, and then we do, and then instantly get distracted by shirts.
this is Alex's fault, probably.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's my fault. Anyway, so yes, let's do the Radeon, the new AMD thing before we get distracted again.
Yeah, so AMD released a shiny new Radeon RX 5500 XT. Have you ever bought an RX 580? Because that's what you're getting. It's all right.
Wait. In terms of performance, or in terms of it is a 580?
In terms of performance, it's not like another Polaris rebrand.
Okay,
Dang, I was really hoping it was going to be that.
because
Why? Shut up.
Because no. I would love it to be that, just because of the meme of the 7970.
Yeah,
never,
exactly.
Ever dying.
No, the 7970 only got rebranded once. It was the 280X, and then they replaced that with Tonga, which was effectively
380X.
the same as Tahiti,
Mhm.
but slightly worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, had a narrower bus. It castrated the FP64 performance, and that was really it.
Well, do you know what else, Chris? Do you know what else is being castrated?
My dogs, because we got them neutered so they'd be less aggressive because they
Thanks.
were boy dogs.
Thank you, Chris. That's not what he was getting at.
Oh,
Right.
I don't know what you mean here by castration. I know what I meant by
Well-
castration. It was metaphorical.
Okay, so the 5500 XT has 4 or 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but
Yeah.
only a 128-bit bus.
Yes.
Is running at a big old sweet. Yeah, they've
It's
listed it as 40.
GDDR6. Like,
I
it's fine.
know. Yeah,
It's not ideal. It's definitely memory bottlenecked. All of AMD's recent stuff has been, but it's
weird though, hey?
all
Because
right.
AMD used to kind of have rather overkill memory. Like
Yeah.
think 290X era. I know everyone loves to bring up the 512-bit bus.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, even in that era, NVIDIA still had about the same memory bandwidth. It was 5.5
384, yeah.
5.5 gigahertz, 512-bit versus 7 gigahertz on some of the like factory overclock 780s, and I think the reference 780 Ti at like 7 gigahertz or 7 gigahertz 384-bit. So it's
Was
about
it
the same
5.
bandwidth.
I don't think it was 5.5 gigahertz. It was 1250 megahertz, well, obviously times 4.
That would be even slower. That's just 5 gigahertz even.
Yeah, 1250 was the 7970, and then the 9295X2 was
Hang on.
1200 on the dot.
Let's check TPU. Specs, database. Oh, that's MSRP.
This is the bit of the podcast where we look up.
No, okay, 5 gigahertz reference on the memory clock. So yeah, no, it was
the gigahertz
it was not
edition
very fast.
Was a gigahertz edition
well-
maybe faster?
I mean the 290X. I don't know about the 7970.
Oh
It's
right, yeah.
probably-
Sorry. I get a little bit confused.
But yeah, like AMD didn't have the fastest GDDR5 in the world. And then NVIDIA came out with Maxwell, which had color compression, which was awesome. And then they had Pascal, which had color compression, which was even more awesome, and
Mhm.
GDDR5X.
Mm.
And now we've got Turing with GDDR6 and that same Pascal tier color compression. AMD doesn't really have a whole lot to show for themselves. Like,
They've got color compression. They introduced in
Yeah.
the RX 480.
I think it actually goes back
Maybe
to
the 280.
Tonga. Like 285, 380X, 380, possibly.
Yeah, I think
PG.
you're right. It might have been like the 285 had it, but not the 280. I remember
Regardless,
it being a bit weird.
it was not very good. Polaris, I think
No,
they
it
were
was better than nothing, but it wasn't
Well,
as
yeah.
good as Nvidia's.
Yeah, Polaris, I think, took it up to like 30-40% effective bandwidth increase. But again, it's still bottlenecked. Polaris really benefits from memory overclocks. I'm sure the 5500 is going to be the same way because, I mean, like, what is this? 128-bit bus,
And they give you
14 gigahertz effective memory clock. That's
Yeah.
basically the same as last gen with like the cheaper 4 gig 470s, actually 480s for that matter. 7 gigahertz effective 256-bit bus, similar performance, just like similar performance on the core, exact same memory bandwidth. So
One thing I really do want to see from either AMD or Nvidia at this point is increasing that VRAM count. Like, we've been stuck on 8 / I'm going to say 12. I mean, I know it's 11 gigs on Nvidia's side.
yeah, that's because weirdo
Yeah,
market
but
segmentation.
we've been stuck in that 8 to 12 gig range for quite too long now, basically.
The thing is, we haven't actually been stuck for that long because NVIDIA, every single generation, had been doubling the amount of like memory capacity per memory controller. So like with Kepler, you buy the 256-bit card, it's 2 gig. Maxwell, you buy the 256-bit card, 4 gig. Pascal, 256-bit, 8 gig. So we should have seen a doubling again with Turing, but we just didn't. And since Pascal came out in like what, 2016? We're entering
2017.
No, it was not. Hang on.
Oh, it was the 1080 Ti afterwards, because the 1080 Ti
Yeah,
was
it always
March
is.
2017.
GTX 1080 release. If I
Then it's November. I think
May,
I do
May
that
2016. It was May 2016. So we've been stuck on this for 3.5 years, but only because one generation didn't actually improve.
Yeah, because if the 2080 had 12 gigs of VRAM or
16. Yeah.
I mean, like 12 ideally, or 12, sorry, realistically, 16 gigs ideally. That would be like, whoa, that's really cool. But
and the thing is, they can do that without even using clamshell mode. Like if you look at the TU-102 Quadros, right, the ones that are using the same core as a 2080 Ti, they've got 48 gigs and 24 gigs, which means there are double density GDDR6 chips that they could have been using, and they didn't because they're cheap.
Chris, explain clamshell mode.
2 chips on one controller instead of 1 chip on one controller. Each chip runs at half the bus width.
So am I wrong in saying that that's kind of what they did with the 970?
No, that's different. I would have to draw pictures. I actually do have pictures drawn out because I've been meaning to do a thing and I haven't touched it since October. But no, clamshell mode. Think of it like dual rank DDR4 or something like that. It's not exactly the same.
Wouldn't that be way more
enough.
inefficient than just a single chip?
Yeah, but that's what you do for the absolute most density if the denser chips don't exist yet.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. And you're going with like when you're talking about like single rank versus dual rank DDR4 is we are trying to get out that 16 gig DIMM or that 32 gig DIMM as cheaply as possible, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, even though we can't do this affordably or at all with 8 memory chips, so we need to use 16.
Yes.
Yeah. I would quite.
Yeah.
But Alex, just going back to what you said about how we've been stuck at low memory, looking at Tech Power Up's results. So I'm looking at a review for MSI Gaming X 8 gigabyte version. It is about 10% faster than a standard 4 gig RX 5500 at 1080p. And if you move up to 4K, it's something like 30% faster.
That's just from memory bus. I mean, a memory increase.
Yeah, it's just memory capacity. Granted, this is probably not the kind of GPU that you would use at 4K.
No, but I have the complaint where, I mean, it's not, I suppose.
But I mean, even at 1080p where you would be using it, it's still held back by a lack of memory.
1440p
sucks.
1440p. Something, for example, that I think people don't think about with games as well is it's not just games using VRAM. It's your browser as well. It's Discord as well. it's if you stream, it's going to use a little bit more VRAM, etc., etc. Apps use VRAM, and yeah, I would just really like to see when they come out with the RX 5900 XT, assuming that that's the flagship with big Navi, as we've been told we should look out for big Navi because it's going to finally beat the 2080 Ti, which is like a year and a half old, and AMD's coming for the year and a half old GPU. Watch out, NVIDIA.
AMD still needs to beat the 2080. Like, AMD is competing with the 1080 Ti still.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to see that card with 16 gigs of VRAM. If it has less than 16 gigs of VRAM, it's dumb.
Yeah. I mean, no, absolutely. It needs more than that. I don't think they're going to do less than 16, though, because they're competing with NVIDIA, but...
Do you think they're going to make it HBM?
I feel like, yeah, they kind of have to, because that's just...
Because they're
on GDDR6 now, so they might not.
If they don't, then I think it could actually be 12 gigs, because I think they might do a 384-bit bus.
Yeah, maybe, but AMD doesn't really do that. They mostly stop at 256. Tahiti was really weird. Like, that was... my understanding is that was basically a 256-bit GPU, except they slapped a couple more memory controllers on the crossbar to get 384-bit. So that one was weird. Hawaii was actually designed with the wider 512-bit in mind.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what. Oh yeah, and also apparently there was a rumor floating around that we would be seeing a 6 gigabyte card from AMD, which would imply that we're getting 192-bit cards, which should sit nicely between the 5500 and 5700. I don't know if we'll see them. I hope we see some salvagey stuff in the middle here. I'm not actually quite sure how much room AMD left in their product stack. Hang on.
Yeah, they could make it a 5600.
Okay, RX 5700 is $350. 5500 XT is $200. They've got plenty of room for some new stuff in the middle. So
yeah. I just want to see a 5900 basically.
Yeah.
And
it should be good.
Do you know what I find interesting as well? Because they changed their naming scheme again. I think they missed an opportunity to do a Titan. Basically differentiate HBM from their consumer lineup. Like, I totally think they should have a...
Siri, Google, what is the AMD Fury X?
Yeah, but to do it properly. Like
to do it properly, because that wasn't good enough. Simmons,
Fury was oh my goodness.
What?
Simmons, tell the audience about your R9 Nano.
Oh.
The R9 Nano, the card that was great on paper.
Yeah, the R9 Nano, the card that
paper.
needed to be downclocked and undervolted to compete with the 980.
Okay. No, I feel like the Fury Nano was like you said, great on paper, because it was basically the same performance as the full fat Fury without the boost clock at half the voltage. Only because it was super tiny, and that was the shtick, is they had to make it super tiny, and that was the only way they could effectively do it. The problem that I had specifically with the Fury Nano was that the one that I bought was clearly a mining GPU and it eventually died. No, that's not the problem I had with it. It was just they got scooped up by miners just due to being a very efficient card for performance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know a lot of people get really mad when you say power to performance ratios, but the Nano was like the epitome of that.
Performance for watt's cool. It's performance per dollar that makes me angry.
PPP.
Yeah, so I mean, like the Fury Nano, great little GPU. I wish that the one that I did I was actually able to get my hands on wasn't a mining GPU in the past, because I'd still be using it on my tiny computer. But I digress.
Anyway,
I bet with 7 nanometer, you could probably. Do they have like mini ITX sized 5700s? I'm gonna look these up now, but let's move on.
Well, so there was actually rumors that there was going to be a Vega 56 Mini. But that never actually came to fruition.
I bet Raja has like 20 in his garage or something.
Oh, I hope so.
Mine that Ethereum.
What does he do with them?
I don't know. He just
mines with them. this Roger coin. He's mining his own coin.
You heard it here first, folks. Raja coin coming soon.
No.
Cool.
He's never gonna make it public. He just mines it just so he knows that it's a good a
I
good
made
mining
a
card.
cryptocurrency so I can mine it
Just to prove
myself.
that he can do it.
He's like,
It will never appreciate or depreciate in value.
no,
Because
exactly.
I own all of
He
them.
controls all of it, so he can put his own value towards it. So he's like, "Did you know one Roger coin's worth $10,000?" He's like, "No ways." Yeah,
Think of Roger.
I set the value for that.
This is fine.
No. I own all of them, and you have to buy them from me. Well, I'm not gonna do that. Well, more Raja coin for me,
get
I
all the
guess.
Did you know I own all the Roger coin. In the
When the
world.
fiat economy
I've
collapses, the
never
only
sold
thing
one.
left will be
I
Roger
want to
coin.
make a cryptocurrency.
It's
That's
the new
coin
gold
with-
standard.
That's coin
Yeah,
with a K
right.
because Kaduri.
I'm looking on Newegg right now. There's a RX 5500 XT for $200.
Okay, well let's move on, Frick.
Wow. I mean, okay, so $200.
Well, I'm just saying, if we're talking
Like-
in terms of just like where
No.
it stacks up value wise, I think that's a pretty good benchmark.
Okay,
Yeah.
so speaking of value
Oh God.
and everything
No.
square.
What?
No.
Are we going to be talking about grilled
Everything
cheeses or
boxy.
something?
X.
Oh yeah, I like
Dude, what
I
about
mean, the top
what
of
about-
the grill? The grill is pretty close. So, Xbox Series X, right?
It's called the
It's a
Xbox Series X.
Series.
As you turn the Series
Series?
X and then you walk away.
Hey Siri,
Series-
can you tell Chris to shut up?
So, a series is a collection of things,
Traditional.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
But this is just one. So the
No, that's the Xbox One.
So the Xbox Series X, also known affectionately as the Xbox. like just lots of X's. I've seen people call it like the Xbox. It'll include a custom design. It's Zen 2. They like to throw the
Oh.
word in custom design because basically they went to AMD and said, "We make a console. Oh, CPU for console, please. Here you go." So Zen 2,
Yes.
which is Ryzen 3000 series,
And mostly.
Radeon RDNA architecture, which is very close to Alfa Romeo's DNA driving system, which I think of every time I say RDNA. Isn't Radeon RDNA stand for Radeon DNA?
I don't know.
Isn't it like a self-recirculating?
Hold on, let me check.
Let's get our top men on this. Hang on.
I think like does the
Oh,
R
no,
stand
I
for
don't. I
Radeon?
don't think the R stands for RDNA or
No, no,
Radeon
no.
RDNA.
No,
so it's not
RDNA actually
recursive.
stands for Radeon DNA.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
so that's
It's
just
the Radeon DNA.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just the automated teller machine.
Yes. Anyway, Microsoft's also using an SSD, like we reported on last week. Dab got that right.
Dabs on the haters.
Anyway, they're using an SSD in the Xbox Series X, which promises to boost load times. I sure hope it would. Xbox Series X will also support 8K gaming. I promise you it will be checkerboarded. Frame rates of up to 120 FPS. I promise you that won't be in conjunction with the 8K gaming. Ray tracing, I promise you again, those two will not have the previous two. And variable refresh rate support. You can thank NVIDIA for that.
Oh boy, we've got DisplayPort adaptive.
Can we just talk
sync.
about how
Thanks,
much AMD
fellas.
is winning right now? Because
Yes,
not
but
only does the
no.
Series X have a Zen processor in it, but the PS5 has a Zen processor in it as well.
I mean, Frick, to be fair, last generation, both consoles got AMD processors and they were just a terrible tablet socks. I'm using them in my desk PC right now. It's very slow and it has a hard
Explain to
time
me how the
loading
weakest
Twitter.
console of this generation uses NVIDIA, okay? It's called the Switch.
Wow.
No,
Truly amazing that the
Listen.
handheld console is...
It's not the weakest though. The Soldier Boy.
I
is
think
the
you mean the
weakest.
strongest.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry, it is the strongest. I'm just playing with you. It's the
Yeah, you're
best
absolutely
console.
right.
Anyway, the Xbox Series X basically looks like a extremely low poly version of the previous generation Mac Pro. It's a garbage cube that looks like
Oh my god, Alex! I
it
need
looks
pictures.
like
I need to make a
can. Like it's just.
It's a 2013 Mac Pro, but square.
I completely understand why it's designed like this, because they need it to look different in this age of devices on a TV stand, everything looking like basically a DVD player, everything looking the same. They want to make something look different and stand out and go, oh, you've got an Xbox, right? So why have they made it square and everyone's just going to lie it on the side and it looks the same? Otherwise, they're going to make it stand up.
Do you know
what? A rectangle, but it's going the other way.
No, do you know what it reminds me of? Either one of those old school like air purifiers or a humidifier.
It looks like a fridge.
Yeah, but
that too.
It's just such a bad design. Some of it actually makes me wonder if they did this on purpose so that people would make memes about it.
That's what people are hypothesizing about the name, because they know when the Xbox 360 dropped off, Microsoft knew everyone just called it the 360, so they called the Xbox One, so people would call it the One. So I think they think, they're going to call it the Xbox Sex, and that because sex sells, right? Okay, we're into console sex.
First of all, the sex box joke
I'm
has
seeing their mentality for this. Every time they don't just go with the name just to go with the name. Like they're $1 billion corporation. They know exactly how people are going to say their product.
Frick, I disagree, because when the original Xbox was in development, they were going to call it the Direct Xbox, because it's a box that goes under your TV and it executes DirectX.
That's not. That is so Microsoft. That is brilliant. Actually,
And I hate it.
Okay, well, I do have to give them a little bit of credit for marketing, because the Xbox One X, at least abbreviated, was just Xbox.
It's called the Xbox.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh my god, you're right.
In a way,
dude.
Yeah.
Wait, Chris, are you telling me you never realized this?
No, because I don't think about consoles. Because
it's not abbreviated. It's abbreviated if you carry two of like XB.
X, but X is separate from box. X is a different word from box.
Not in Microsoft's language.
Well, because think about it. Because when the Xbox One came out, everybody was calling it the Xbone. So when the Xbox One X came out, everybody started calling it, or everybody started just abbreviating it to the Xbox, which was hilarious.
No, everyone called it the Xbox One X.
No,
which was just a mouthful.
Exactly. So I do have a question about this new Xbox. So
I've been trying to talk about it.
Is that an optical drive? God.
Yes, it is. So let me just speak about it actually a bit more. Then don't set your hopes too high of it, because since the PlayStation 2 era, there's always been, we're going to do, I think it could do 720p, but it can't do all those things at once. It won't really. It's based on an architecture. We know what it's going to be. We know its performance limits. It won't do 8K gaming at 120 FPS with ray tracing and HDR. That's not going to happen. Also, interesting enough, I just realized the blurb didn't actually mention HDR.
I don't see why the whole design behind this is way
Anyway.
smarter than anything else. Because the one problem that both Microsoft and Sony have had with the first generation of consoles is either one, they overheat like crazy, or two, they're insanely loud. The original PS4 that I got is like a jet engine. Even if you put that thing in proper ventilation, it would, like, if you're playing a game, all you would hear is the PS4. And my 360, I'm not kidding, I had to send that thing back 3 times. Because it kept restarting.
Oh, that was so bad.
Dude, Microsoft released the numbers on that. I think they said like 55% of all Xboxes had to be returned. It was insane. So at least now they're designing in terms of just keeping thermals in mind and noise in mind. And if it's a little bigger, I think that's a fair trade-off.
Just quickly on that subject before I go into the Xbox Series X stats and stuff. I can only see one vent at the top so far, which is fine if you're placing it vertically. But if you're placing it horizontally and against something,
dude,
that might be really bad.
and I feel like that's what people are going to do because they
Everyone's
have all
going
these
to place
media
it
consoles.
horizontally. They don't. I think also people
Nobody
don't want it.
has room in their cabinet.
Just listen. I don't think people are going to place it vertically because they're going to be worried about it knocking over. So everyone's going to place it horizontally. I mean, space as well, obviously.
No,
then,
I just had a horrible, brilliant thought. No, because the form factor. Do you know what this form factor reminds me of? It reminds me of the subwoofer that comes with a lot of sound bars. So what if people they're just expecting people to put it next to the subwoofer that goes with their sound bar?
People who use sound bars are wrong.
Well, I could say the same thing about people who are still
sound bar?
buying consoles, but I digress.
Yeah, but sound bars
Whoa!
are,
Hashtag PC
but
master
sound bars are
race.
objectively worse sounding just by their design, and then
Okay, but 9 times out of 10 consoles are sold to the general market because they're just a package and they're ready to go and it makes sense. Like the Nintendo Switch is a perfect example.
Who finds it hard to put 2 speakers down?
I do.
Chris, you're like 600 pounds.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
Like, okay, so deadass, if you
I just
actually
have a
want to
vendetta
talk about
against sound bars, I don't like them.
and I understand what you're talking about, but when we have
I'll recommend one to my gran, but my gran is half deaf.
Exactly, and that's what
My gran is not a big market.
So here's the thing.
They are. The boomers aren't dying off fast.
Okay. Okay, Chris, shut up a second. Chris, shut up a second, because we have a surround sound system, and then we also have the TV in the opposite room that has a sound bar in it. And my parents prefer to use the sound bar because it's all one remote.
That is, but that's how you've set it up wrong.
No, it's just that.
Dude, wait.
It's a 2004 era sound system.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was gonna say I have one remote for my bookshelf speakers on my TV and everything. It's cool. It's actually a keyboard. I was gonna use it as a giant monitor. No, but I do actually have my
No, but basically for the sake of simplicity, it's like that's what I'm foreseeing with this.
Yeah, I understand there's people.
Either people are going to put this into a media console or the Xbox into a media console, and they're going to put it horizontally, or they're going to set it on the opposite side of the TV next to the subwoofer that is paired with their soundbar.
Do you know what? They would have been genius if they designed this to fit in IKEA shelving. IKEA shelving has a specific dimensions.
Alex, shut up.
No.
Swedish meatball propaganda.
I'm being deadly now. No, I'm being dead. How wide are they? I think they're like
wider
20...
than me.
Yeah, no, of course they are. I think they're like 28 centimeters wide.
Of an Xbox
and like
One,
everything from IKEA.
It's 3 times, horizontally speaking, it's 3 times as thick as the Xbox One. 3 times as thick as the Xbox One.
No, can't you just
maybe it's 3 times as thick as the Xbox One?
This is like some American dimension measuring, like the pit hole. I mean the hole is 76 dishwashers wide.
Ooh, look at me. My name's Alex, and I don't understand the superiority of using base 12, base 5,280, and base 231 for my units.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just a base 10 basic bitch.
You can say that word. It's PG-13.
Okay, Alex, please use this image. Please use this image for the thumbnail that I just made. It's a good image.
Wait,
Thank
can you
you.
make it? Can you make the background transparent?
Oh yeah. I'll do that.
Okay, and make the text white. So
you make your own
no.
text.
You okay? You were laughing at me, right? So the Xbox Series X dimensions fit perfectly inside the IKEA standard formatting square.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 30 by 24 by 6.
I hate it when Alex makes a joke and he actually is right.
This thing is so it fits in with enough room to breathe. I think that was done on purpose because I have seen so many people with IKEA TV stands. Like everyone has one. And if they I think it must have been at least a point of consideration of, hey, most TV stands are 28 centimeters this way or 30 centimeters this way. Let's make it within this box.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was getting onto the specs. I just gave you the dimensions. But going onto the specs, obviously Ryzen Zen 2, which is also known as Ryzen 3000, because AMD doesn't know how to do numbers.
What about the Ryzen 3200G and 3400G? Those aren't Zen 2. Those are actually Zen Plus. And I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm not
Are
sorry.
you?
No.
It's okay. So they haven't released, obviously, which GPU it is. Chris, that's an amazing image, especially the near. Can you fix that, please?
Well, I'm sorry. I just now noticed that.
Anyway, they
Also, the
haven't
text the wrong color.
They haven't mentioned the
getting
specific specs yet of what CPU it is, how many cores, shaders, VRAM, which is going to be shared, I assume, etc. But they have said it could be capable of 12 teraflops. For reference, the Xbox One X is 6 teraflops of peak GPU performance. So that's neat. One thing to note, just hang on a second. One thing to note, do you want to know why it's called the Series X? I'm not going to let you answer because you're going to spend 20 minutes making
It's because they
answer.
want to make it a series where they have annual releases because that's the world we live in now.
Right, you answered anyway. So the reason it's called the Xbox
It
Series
didn't take
X,
20 minutes.
the reason it's called the Xbox Series X, emphasis on series, is because they actually do want to make a lineup. So there's this convenient competitor who make a full fat version of their console, and then they make a light version of their console. So the Microsoft Xbox is going to probably, they said they're going to make a series with a smaller, more lightweight version of this. It will be hilarious if it's called the Xbox Series X Lite. No association with the Nintendo Switch Lite.
I don't think Microsoft would call it that. That doesn't seem like their style.
What do you think? They'd call it the Xbox Series.
They probably
Why?
call it like the Xbox Noob or something to appeal
No.
to the Uber.
No, actually, no. Genuinely, seriously, the Xbox Cube. Because
The Xbox Cube.
No, they could make it like half the height in an actual
Dude,
cube.
you got to keep in mind,
it's
Xbox's reputation for naming conventions is absolutely awful. Like, they call their console the worst, most confusing
naming
names you can
convention?
imagine.
Oh, do you know what is quite funny? Microsoft has said that this will be the fastest and the most powerful Xbox ever. No shit. Yes, we're going to release an Xbox that's worse than the previous one. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
There you go, Alex.
They also said that it should be more powerful than the Sony PlayStation 5. My bet is that it's going to be exactly the same as it has always been.
Oh my god, what if they use the exact same chip from AMD?
I honestly think they will.
Like, that just saves AMD R&D bucks, and they still get more sales off the same design. And if one of
Yeah.
them flops, they're not stuck with all
I
these
think because
overstocked
Sony
chips.
has beaten them in this console generation, they're going to be real careful with everything. So odds are, I'm just surprised they were the first to announce their console at all. I mean, I would have thought they would wait for Sony and then make their move because they got absolutely trounced last gen.
What I am very interested about is that, as far as I'm aware, they didn't get trounced by Sony in the North American market. I think the North American
Americans
market,
love Madden and COD and
aren't those on? Is Madden not on?
It's
PlayStation?
not the same, Alex. You don't understand.
No,
Looking at the
I
sales
don't-
charts right now.
I
So
think
as of right now,
don't
the
know
global
this.
hardware totals for the Xbox One is 45 million. The global hardware total for PS4 is 104 million.
No. Frick. Yeah. No, I don't. Not
Those are
global,
North
America. You just said global.
And I
Like the
said
words
global.
just left your mouth.
I meant-
we're global.
Anyway, so what's going on with you?
Remember, for us here in America,
American, the whole world is America. I don't know what the problem is.
the global
No,
perspective
so
is
just to give you an
America.
idea, okay, so I'm looking at the charts per country for the last month or so, and the PS4 in North America sold 202,000, and the Xbox One sold 202,000. So yeah, there is something
So it's
about
like the same.
I don't know why. You're right. There is more popularity for the Xbox in North America, at least in the past few months or so.
I know the Japanese market for, well, PlayStation versus Xbox strictly. Xbox treats Japanese, is it Japanese or is it Asian customers? I know Japanese, it treats Japanese customers like second-rate citizens. Okay, that's a bit extreme, but basically, like, it's always released way later. They get way worse support. It's more expensive, and the game
On the past
selection's a
week,
lot
they've
worse in
sold
Japan.
40,000 PS4s in Japan and 378 Xboxes.
There you go. It's like the very fact that they released it a lot later than the PlayStation 4 in Japan is horrible. I bet you a big chunk of these console sales are
and good
from, like,
news,
the first week.
the Switch just outsold the Xbox One. So there you go.
Nice. Switch is my
Still
favorite
in my
console that
one.
I don't own.
Yeah, you should steal one.
I can't. That's illegal.
Yeah, that is.
Property crime is cool crime.
He says, "Okay."
So, shall we move on then?
I
Yeah, I
think so.
represent
I was gonna say,
I'm not
do
gonna
you mind
finish
if
that.
I talk about our next topic so we can stay on hardware for a little bit longer?
If you must.
Okay, so
Nerd.
I'm sure if any of our viewers are actually listening to us, they've already heard about the new Ice Giant prototype cooler for Threadripper. Also known-
Why are you so sure?
Anyway,
This is such a specific thing. I'm sorry.
you know what? Just I'm running with it. So this Ice Giant prototype thermosiphon CPU cooler. Basically, what this thing is, it's a redesign of a heat pipe designed CPU, and it is basically a 240 mil radiator, but in tower heatsink form. The thing is absolutely massive. Let me send you guys an image in case you didn't already see it once.
I'm gonna have to put it in the dock.
That is a big beast. I want 10.
Okay, so I've done a little bit of research into this thing. This is quite literally just the prototype. The company has been sending it out to a few review channels. I think even Linus Tech Tips put up their video on it today. The idea with it is, rather than doing the traditional heat pipe design where you have your heat pipe and it's capped off on the ends, and then it relies on just convection for the fluid on the inside to, take the heat up and then evaporate down the outside of the chamber. It's actually a loop heat pipe design. So the idea is it uses convection to keep a constant loop of the fluid, basically just a heat powered pump in that
Right.
sense.
So,
in
in layman's terms, as far as I understand, this is basically like an all-in-one, but instead of using tubes and kind of routes within a radiator, it's using heat pipes, which are much more effective.
And that's correct.
tube.
And the entire point of this is the biggest issue with the traditional heat pipe design is when the heat pipes get hot enough, what will end up happening is that the convection stops working, and the channels that the fluid is supposed to condense and then go back down to the CPU on,
Okay.
it just continues to evaporate, and it just basically fails at that
Quick
point.
question. What is that temperature? Because I remember that temperature being well beyond the operating temperature of a CPU.
Yeah, Bo, the problem is
Like, I'm talking about like hundreds of degrees.
it's above 100 C for sure. From what we've been seeing though, with a lot of like traditional heat sinks that have been adapted for especially like the Threadripper platform, just nothing is able to keep it under control, with maybe the exception of the Noxua D15.
Few other questions then.
Sure.
What is the weight of this thing? Because I bent and broke a motherboard from a true 120 copper.
Tunic 120.
I feel like that's not going to.
Okay, so the weight
That's
actually
not going to be an issue.
is
with the
77.7 ounces or 2,200 grams.
2.2 kilos. Okay, so it's the same as a true copper actually in weight.
Also,
yes, you're right. The socket is bigger. It's going to have less force and stuff. And it's probably better done than 1155.
Also, something I want to point out with this prototype, I think they were definitely accounting for the fact that the thing is massive because it's basically a billet aluminum piece. And for some reason, this image is not uploading to Discord. Lovely. Stand by.
Anyway, another question I have is, what is the point of this? Because frankly,
it's a chunky ass air cooler. Is what
okay,
it is. It's
so
huge.
so
it's
what
beautiful.
what they have proven is it actually outperforms all of the AIOs on the market right now.
Nice.
Okay, cool, but frankly, it's ugly as hell. It's going to have a hard time fitting in some cases.
I'm not done because the problem because this being the prototype, the company is allegedly claiming that the final design is not going to be this massive. It is going to be about a third of the thickness, and they're guaranteeing close to the same cooling capacity, whatever that means.
Okay, why didn't you just use a full loop?
Because loops can leak and take effort.
The amount of maintenance.
Yeah, so that is the big so that's the big argument with a
no, it's so cop out. One, I haven't touched my loop in a year.
Yeah,
Two,
and it's filled with like weird milky crap.
That's not my fault.
Okay.
But you're not denying that it's there.
No, just hang on. I haven't touched it in a year, right? Yes, it's got technically copper rust inside of it, but that's not my fault, and it's not dangerous, and it doesn't matter. You would actually end up the same in an all-in-one loop. You just don't really see it after a while because they use aluminium and copper. And with Threadripper, you're dumping a crap ton of money on the thing anyway.
Okay, so that's what it comes to.
Like base all-in-ones, like EKs, are not that expensive.
And
like
you are
EK's
correct.
Phoenix kit.
However, points of failure. The point of failure.
They don't fail.
Well, that's
Yes,
that's
they
not
do.
okay.
D5s never fail.
Okay, that's not accurate. And the thing
No,
is,
sure,
when
it's not accurate.
MTBF Infinity.
Alex,
No, sure, it's not accurate, but it's like saying like, I don't want to buy a Honda Civic because the engine's going to fail in 500,000 kilometers. It's like, who cares?
Okay, Alex.
Well, if you,
I'm gonna talk to you with the devil advocate's position as a person who also has
wow, Simmons, you
full
heard
loop.
about this devil guy and you think he needs an advocate?
Okay,
Wow.
shut up, Chris.
Chris, it's not
As another person who also has a full loop. The fact of the matter is this thing works out of the box. This is one of those you bolt it on, it works, and you are guaranteed to have performance as good, if not better, than all of the AIOs on the market, which is what
sure.
justify the AIOs over the custom loop for the cost.
People are dumb. But
I'm not denying that, but the fact of the matter is the same people who buy soundbars are probably the same people who buy AIOs.
Okay, hang on. I understand AI. A lot of people buy AIOs for looks. That 100% people buy it for looks, right? They won't buy this for looks because it looks ugly, right?
I would
it's
buy
big
this
and
for
chunky.
looks.
No, but you're weird. So but like seriously, I don't think people buy this because it looks ugly.
Yeah, you're right.
A lot of people, even though they're like, oh, this AIO gets 2 degrees less, they just buy the one they like. Oh, NZXT has some RGB mirror effects. I'm going to buy that one. It's like, oh, but it's a worse. I don't know if it is. But it's like, oh, it's a worse performer. Yeah, but RGB mirror effect. Okay. The like getting into a full loop, yes, it can be daunting. The same way that putting Lego together is daunting. I mean, honestly, it's not hard. People just don't want to learn. Like someone I know just didn't want to learn.
And I understand where you're coming from.
D5s don't fail. Like seriously, you should see how much people like Linus abuse D5s, run them on air all the time, and they just don't fail.
And I would say the same thing about the DDC pumps as well.
No, the DDC ones are technically more likely to fail because they aren't cooled by the same liquid.
No.
So you can overheat them. Like it's a little consideration you need to have. Whereas a D5 is like, it's meant, I think it was originally meant for, the solar heating panels that have water in them, like water tubes. I think.
Oh, yeah.
That. I can't remember.
Oh, wait, are you talking about the solar water radiators?
Yeah.
The hot water pumps.
I think it was something like that, or irrigation or something. D5s and DDCs are just bulletproof. I've owned like 4 and I've never had one even come close to failing.
Right.
On the other hand, I have owned technically 3 AIOs. I had a double AIO on my 295X2 and I had an H115. All of them were terrible, and all the pumps, I swear, were about to die because they made the most ungodly rattling sounds with air and vibration and bubbles and everything.
That's fair.
My friend also had a AIO fail on him as well. Anyway,
but does
if you're
your
buying
full
Threadripper,
come with the Corsair, we kill your system or replace your system warranty?
no, but they don't come with that now anyway. I don't know if you know this. Corsair hasn't come with us for a long time.
I know that was the joke.
Okay. But yeah, AIOs, and also like if you really are timid and scared that you think somehow you're going to get water in your system, which is not going to happen unless you are a bit of an idiot. Like seriously, just so long as you follow the steps of like, you know, put everything together, use compression fittings. If you don't want to spend money on compression fittings, use bobs, and then bloody hell, use
Just
zip
fill it with
ties. Zip ties
mineral
will
oil
never
and get the
break.
best of both worlds.
Okay.
Just
I thought you were going to say Miller Lite.
I wanna go
follow
back
all
to-
those steps. You leak test it. You make sure it doesn't leak, then it won't leak.
Okay, that's fine.
You see a
So-
lot of people not leak testing.
Okay, so
Wow,
quite frankly,
so you've just talked about all of the ways that a water-cooled system can leak. Now,
No.
sir,
No.
let's go
It's
to your
human-
corner.
No,
Simmons, let's go to your corner and hear about all of the
Okay.
risks of the air
Simmons,
leaks.
just don't even entertain.
no,
No, listen.
I don't even want to talk about that. I want to talk about why I think this core actually exists, because quite frankly, this is a demonstration of the progression of technology, right? You look at something like the Noctua D15, which has, or the D14, and that has been like the golden standard of air coolers for the longest time. And this appears to be the next step above that. Yes, this thing is absolutely absurd. A lot of people did not like the Noctua D14 or the D15 for some reason, because of either shiny heatsink, which I've only heard that argued a couple times, and then
What?
ugly fans was another argument that
fans kick ass, don't lie.
yeah,
Noise
no, I
blockers are
still
better, but yeah.
love
They
my
are
Noctua
overrated.
fans. But
No, they're
gentle
not.
typhoons.
Yes.
But regardless,
Autos?
Yeah. Well,
Deltas
no,
are the
you
best,
can buy,
so
like,
whatever.
V-stock and stuff.
Oh, okay.
oh, I mean that's what I have on my GTX 980. But regardless,
No,
I feel
okay.
like this is the natural progression in technology. Like this is demonstrating that this kind of closed loop heat pipe is a very effective solution for CPU cooling, especially in these high wattages. And if they can get down to this third thickness that they claim that they want, then I think this is going to be the logical next step. And then I foresee in the future we'll see similar closed loop heatsink air coolers
No, okay, so just
moving forward. I just think this is the first iteration, right? And
yeah.
and
Just-
by making it this absurd, it gets the clicks.
Sure. But what I do want to say is like for Threadripper, for your main system, right? For Threadripper, an expensive platform, obviously if you're buying it new, I feel like spending a decent chunk of money on a cooling system to run it very effectively is not a big ask. Like if you're asking someone who's got entry-level Ryzen or whatever and a GT 1060 or GTX 1060 or whatever,
Sure.
but then saying, oh, you have to buy a water full loop, that's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big cost thing. But Threadripper is an expensive platform. I don't think it's unrealistic to assume, if it's not like a problem, I don't think Threadripper's too hot is a problem. I just think it's people don't want to water cool it and then they think it's a problem.
Well, Alex, I think the best counter argument to that is if I didn't go custom loop, I probably could have afforded a 1950X.
Oh God, he shot himself.
No, I mean, sure, but right, whenever you upgrade, Simmons,
Yes.
you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly,
And you get silent and cold performance. I have my loop running almost dead silent,
Mhm.
and my 9900K and 1080 Ti don't go above 30 degrees.
not gonna
Actually, no,
lie.
I lie. They do go above 30. They don't go above 40.
On the topic of my next upgrade, I think my actual plan is, because I only have a single 280 mil rad in my case right now. I think if I go with Threadripper 2, I'll probably add a 360 mil rad to the front of my case.
Hardware lab.
Reminder,
labs.
reminder,
Seriously?
Simmons.
Chris, whatever, buy a Hardware Labs radiator, but measure, because they're not standard size. They're 156 mil if you buy 140 mils, and they're like 138, I think, if you buy the 120s. So that caught me off, but they are amazing.
Actually, I'm curious as to what brand my radiators stand by for a moment.
So I have a 560 plus a 280 plus a 140 from Hardware Labs, and it is it's quite overkill, but I love it. Anyway, I also want to say it makes complete sense. Yeah, if you're not going to touch the system, to not do water cooling, I guess. Like my server's air cooled.
So you recognize the benefits of air cooling.
No, I never
We
said
got
air
them,
cooling.
boys. We got them, boys.
I never said air cooling's bad. I actually don't like all-in-ones. Like I would go straight from all-in-one to custom loop.
I just realized something really important.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot to clap.
Also to mention the giveaway.
Oh yes, actually, I think
So,
this is a great transition.
yes, great transition. Thank you, Andrew, for joining. Extreme Hardware is still doing the giveaway. They've been doing it for a while now and going to be continuing for a while now because the generous souls there are giving away is it 1250 or 1200? I think it's a 1250 watt PSU from Inwin. Pretty neat unit. Don't forget to sign up, join the hubbub, win yourself some neat swag and PSUs.
Leave us a like, subscribe, click the little bell.
Chris,
I'm sorry, I just like saying those words a lot.
speaking of YouTube, this is something I wanted to mention just quickly. What do you guys think about YouTube's new policies?
They took away my content cops.
That thing, the anti-harassment enforcement of vomit cake, which was my favorite video on YouTube.
Did vomit cake got removed? I thought
getting removed. Vomit cake's gone. Yeah, no, it's gone now. What's weird
I think it'll be back.
No, human cake's still around, but vomit cake's gone.
The vomit cake's been gone before, but they brought it back like 3 times.
Look at it right now. Hang
It's
on.
gone
Why?
now.
Why? Because that doesn't even fall into the policy.
gone
Okay,
for
first
that.
explain what the policy is.
Well, the policy is anti-harassment. Basically, they had an anti-harassment. Okay, let me explain the whole thing. So YouTube used to have an anti-harassment thing, but they never enforced it properly. There was one podcaster called, he's a news journalist guy called Steven Crowder. And he kind of picked on this one guy. I think he was on Vice, and he does sort of, I think, game reviews or something like that. His Twitter handle is Gay Wonk. His name is Carlos. He chose it himself. His name is Carlos Maza, and he is a self-proclaimed. Well, his Twitter, basically he does reviews on Vice. I'm not reading his Twitter thing; it's a bit edgy. So, Steven Crowder consistently, better lack of words, harassed him, bullied him, basically, calling him insults by his sexuality and by his race and by his voice. Repeat, like not just once, like probably 40 videos. He kept insulting him in the same way. It was very strange. And YouTube's new anti-harassment policy, which is basically the easiest way to look at it, is anti-bullying. Like, they said they make exceptions for scripted satire, and they make exceptions for sort of per case of one-off basis. When it's a joke, it's for comedic effect. But if it's a repeated offense of harassment, then that's against their new terms of
That
services.
is way too many edge cases for YouTube to like actually care. Like, oh, a one-off thing or for comedic purpose. They don't care. It's YouTube. They're completely inept.
I'm just saying this is what they've done per letter. So on the back of this, as soon as this policy got enabled, people don't know if Steven Crowder took down his videos or if YouTube took them down. I couldn't find confirmation of that. But the Leafy content cop got removed. Vomit Cake got removed. Big question mark on how that applies to the anti-harassment thing. A video Keemstar's video basically threatening to kill H3 Ethan got removed. Big surprise there. And I think that's all that I know about. Keemstar was really.
Wait, did the Keemstar content cop get removed? Where Ian just ended the video by saying, "I've never said this sincerely, but kill yourself" to your boy Keemstar.
Like, no, but
that's rather extreme.
Yeah. So what I think happened is they had a bunch of videos already preloaded for this policy, probably just the ones that people reported en masse for harassment. Like, I'm guessing Leafy's followers at the time reported iDubbbz's video for harassment.
It was partly that, but also that Leafy video is, I think, the most viewed commentary video of all time.
Not anymore. It was 20. Was it 29? It was 29.
Yeah, and it was so I don't
views.
think it was so much based on reports. I think they just wanted to send a message.
Maybe, but the problem is the problem is they clearly didn't watch the entire video, because the whole point of that was that Leafy was a bully, so we're going to bully Leafy. That was the whole point of the thing. Like, everything has to be
but then all
fair,
of Leafy's videos are still up.
Is.
So how does that's not consistent?
Because it's YouTube's policy enforcement. Like, here's the deal. There was I saw a snippet of this. Like, the person in charge of like figuring out if things are too like hate speechy for YouTube, they were doing some segment on 60 Minutes, and it's like, oh yeah, they see they've referenced that one number that's associated with neo-Nazis a lot, and they got the wrong number. Like, yeah, they're completely inept. They have no idea what they're doing. They've made a platform. It's just completely open to whatever, except if you get reported enough times, your stuff gets automatically taken down. And if you get copyright takedowns, that also gets taken down automatically, because DMCA requests are a lot easier than a court. But yeah, they're completely incompetent.
Anyway, let's just move on from this, because we can spend forever talking about this.
There's not much to say that hasn't already been said as a thing. It's YouTube's just really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just bad at doing things.
Oh, rather, I meant like the examples of YouTube's ineptitudeness.
Oh yeah, that can go
absolutely.
So, speaking of things that are inept and awful, they're self-proclaimed game awards.
Jeff Keighley had sex with the Schick Hydrobot.
Can you actually let me introduce something once?
Jeff Keighley had sex with
Okay, no, Chris, stop. The self-proclaimed game awards happened this week or something ago. I don't know. I don't like that they called themselves the Game Awards, as if they are like the Oscars or something. Even that. Game Awards, I have a big issue with Game Awards. I kind of started it before. Game Awards. Yeah, rather, should we just go over kind of who won in all the categories, or should I just go straight on to bitching about Game Awards?
I say them at all, because I say
let's just pick a couple of the random categories, and then the Game of the Year category, and then we can rant.
Okay. So kind of going through all of the categories under the winners section for thegameawards.com. Wow. So Game of the Year nominations were Control, Death Stranding, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Resident Evil 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice won that. So I suppose I should have done that last. Anyway, action game, Apex Legends, Devil May Cry 5, Call of Duty. Should I just mention who won?
Yeah, just say the winners. Go through this quick.
Yeah,
I don't even care.
Okay, Devil May Cry 5 won the Best Action Game of the Year award. For action/adventure, it was Sekiro Shadows Die Twice again. Art direction was Control. Audio design was Call of Duty Modern. Wow.
Wow.
Simmons, I hope you know why I have an issue with that. Anyway, audio design was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Community support was Destiny 2. Out of interest for community support, the nominees were Apex Legends, Final Fantasy 15, Destiny 2, Fortnite, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. Content Creator of the Year. No idea
Okay.
who these people are,
Okay.
but Shroud won.
Scrolling ahead, we can go down to Family Game of the Year was Luigi's Mansion 3. Fighting Game was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Fresh Indie Game of the Year was ZA/.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. And then Game Direction, Death Stranding. I think that's enough.
Did you know that Jeff Keighley invented the Game Awards so he could hang out with Kojima?
Okay, stop. Just some more interesting ones. Best mobile game of the year was Call of Duty. Best multiplayer game of the year, right? What do you think it should have been? The most popular multiplayer game of this entire year.
PUBG.
Minecraft.
Fortnite.
It was
PUBG.
Apex Legends, the copy of Fortnite.
Hey, I enjoyed playing Apex.
No. I just have brings up so many issues I have. And the best RPG game was Disco Elysium.
That is a great.
I don't know that game at all.
Oh,
Exactly.
I've seen people talk about
hang
it,
on,
and it's apparently just a neat thing. What, Alex? Alex, nobody cares. Nobody actually cares about the Game Awards. My banter is doing far more to drive engagement to this podcast than you're rattling off a list of winners for the Game Awards.
Shut up, Chris.
Oh, okay.
The best racing game of the year was Crash Field Team Racing.
It's a pretty good game.
Fueled Crash Bandicoot.
My name's Alex. I'm sad iRacing didn't win.
No, there's just so many issues I have with this. Is the issue I have with Game Awards in general, and it's like it's because your game didn't win. No, it's because objectively crap games that are just popular at the moment win. Do you know how to make your game win Game of the Year? Not make, guaranteed. If you release a good game 2 to 3 months before the award, it's gonna win.
Hey, Alex, do you remember, I don't remember when it was now. I think it was Metal Gear Solid 5. Kiefer Sutherland of Jack Bauer fame did voice work for it, and he got, Voice Actor of the Year or something like that. Kiefer Sutherland isn't a voice actor. He's an actor, which means they just completely ignored all of the actual voice talent in the game industry that does this kind of work for the celebrity cameo. Nobody... It doesn't matter. None of these matter. Awards never matter.
But specifically with Game of the Year type awards, I feel it's a popularity contest when it doesn't need to be, and when it's something about popularity, it's just feels like some
They said
independent.
that a lot of
writer's
people
choice.
said that the TGAs were just a marketing award, basically.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. Game of the Year for me, objectively, Fortnite would be Game of the Year. It is just it's just so big. You can't say no, but you can't say I don't like it, right? But that doesn't mean it is not the biggest game of this
or
year.
Minecraft.
Absolutely.
Or Minecraft. Yes, they didn't come out. Okay, I suppose that's a difference. It has to come out this year. But they both didn't come out this year.
I see. I don't
Sekiro Shadows died twice.
See, no, Alex. I don't think this is an accurate analysis, because when did Beat Saber come out?
Yeah, it's 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it got VR Game of the year.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, what's that new one?
So-
Boneworks just came out, didn't it?
Yeah,
It's
that sounds familiar. The Goose Game, you know, the one that's super
Goose!
popular. That didn't win indie game.
Those rat bastards.
Yeah. And so the other issue I have, and this harkens back to the 2007 Game of the Year Awards, when Nier Automata 2017, when Nier Automata came out. Nier Automata is a brilliant game. You have to play it because it's the best game ever. It has one of the best, if not the best, soundtrack for any game I have ever played in my entire life. It is a live orchestra recorded soundtrack they recorded so many pieces so that it dynamically evolves depending on what you do in that game. It's amazing. It's so good. They got people to sing it in Welsh and English, made up languages and Japanese, and it blends so perfectly. And it lost to Cuphead, the 1920s just imitation of what the music would have sounded like.
Not gonna lie though, I
Cuphead's
thoroughly
a racist
didn't.
game.
No,
I
it's
did
not- it's not
thoroughly
bad.
enjoy the soundtrack from that game, but it was not
It won
up to par.
because it was more popular than Nier Automata, not because it was better.
You have to keep
Yes,
in mind, though,
that's
it
how it
also
works.
comes down
To
to a
audio
factor of
design-
uniqueness, because there's never been a game that looks like Cuphead that's ever come out before.
Hey,
There's
Alex,
never been
Alex,
a soundtrack like Nier
do you mean
Automata
a
before.
dynamic
Alex, I have a
soundtrack, or do you mean
question.
a
I have a
dynamic
question.
orchestral soundtrack? Have been so Doom,
Dynamic orchestral is what
Dynamic
Doom remake
orchestral
came out,
soundtrack
and Doom had a
with the
dynamic
themes.
soundtrack as well.
Doom actually came
No,
out
before.
after Nier Automata.
Doom came out
But
before.
yes,
Alex,
it's a very similar concept.
Alex,
no,
question.
after.
Question. So the
Yeah.
made up languages in Nier Automata, did
Mhm.
those actually made up languages? Like, did they use phonemes that are not found in Anglo-Saxon or Latin derived languages? Like any of those at all, or was it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like
No, it's
"Ooh,
completely
we're-
made up. No, it's
this
completely
is
made up.
all
So-
Germanic romance type languages, not
No,
like
so-
we're going east or south or something like that to get other languages sounds for our made up language. No,
So-
it's just this
hang-
Eurocentric imperialist
Hang
garbage.
on. So the composer for it has also done a few other movies as well as anime as well. And
Oh wow, anime.
just hang on, Chris. So basically, he also has a studio and stuff and people he works with. That language, it's not unique to Nier Automata. It's been in a few other things before. But yes, it's a combination of, I suppose, Welsh, French, Chinese, Japanese, and English. And it sounds very unique, I guess, and it works.
Yeah, that's a lot of language groups they left out. It's kind of racist.
But it works for Nier Automata in terms of distant alternative future, where the idea of that the entire world at some point came together with one language. This is what the language is. Now the entire world has gone to crap, and this is remnants of the language that's still remaining. So it works. Anyway, what I was going to go on to is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare, you know, the one that also has the most compressed sounds in the world, that half of them are mono, won Audio Design of the Year. So, yeah, I mean, if we're going to do 120K MP3 for audio, you know, whatever, and mono sounds, hey, reused sounds, Audio Design of the Year. Yeah, I chose that on my, yeah. I mean, honestly, we shouldn't talk about this anymore. I can spend forever just complaining about this.
I think it's time to move on. Alex is getting too excited about this topic.
No. I was going to say, we already know that you could talk forever about this because you were already ranting for this for about a half an hour before we even started recording this damn thing.
I hate, I just hate game reviews. They just, and that, like, honestly, just one more thing before we go off of this is when, you know, you get those Game of the Year editions, and it just seems anyone can make a Game of the Year edition, even if it's not Game of the Year.
Yeah, you could just
there's
that's
no
not
regulation.
regulated at all. You could just do that. The only reason the Game Awards exists is so you can watch Jeff Keighley have hot.
Just
shaving,
stop.
Anyway, I'm sorry. That's not something we can talk about on my Christian Minecraft server. Speaking of which,
Chris, you introduced this now. I've been talking way too much. My voice is
no,
getting sore.
Simon should do it because he linked it, and that's
Oh,
what.
okay, that's fine. Hold on. I'm a little distracted now from Chris going on a tirade about Alex going on a tirade.
Raise all the way down.
I'll put it in Discord.
All right, so this just in, the Vatican has their own Minecraft server now. So basically, the title is exactly what it sounds like. Allegedly, they some people put up a vote online for what kind of game server that they would like hosted by the Vatican, including Rust, Ark Survival, Team Fortress 2, and Minecraft.
Dude, they've got a TF2 server?
No. It was going to be which of these do you want? And
okay.
Minecraft won by 64%.
Yeah, of course. Minecraft server's lit.
Okay, but actually, can
No,
you
no,
imagine,
but
can you imagine Rust, where he's like making people fight to the death?
or TF2 even, just senseless violence and cartoon gore. It's
I'm
great.
sorry. Have you heard about the Crusades?
So anyway, and we have a quote from some priest, Robert Balliser. I'm probably butchering that name, but it's not about the technology. It's not really even about gaming. It's about getting people together who can maybe move these relationships into the real world.
Aww.
At first, there were a lot of people who were very hesitant because you see this guy and a caller talking about the latest offerings from Google or how you can run fiber optics across the Atlantic. He's going on a tirade about technology. But he honestly is like, you know what? This technology is going to unify the people. Our Christian Minecraft server is going to be the foster of new hope on the internet. No, and that was me making up shit. That it was not what he said. No.
Hey, you can't say that word while talking about a Christian Minecraft.
How long until it gets ruined by Nazis?
Yeah, right. So, but not only that, but in this article, they even have the URL that you can actually go and visit the Minecraft server.
Oh, neat.
So, if you are also interested in joining the world's greatest Christian Minecraft server, go check out minecraft.digitaljesuit.com.
Okay.
Yep, that's the URL.
That's a URL and a half.
So Chris, are you gonna go join the Christian Minecraft server?
I could probably do Dawa there. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Other things. I just got an Allen wrench inside my shorts.
No. No,
like
Chris,
this is
no,
between
no,
layers
shut
of
up.
fabric.
No, Chris.
Yeah, that's
Stay
me.
Stay on topic. No, not just going other things, and you can just talk about whatever's just happened in your life, and you've lost an Allen wrench down shorts.
No. So it's between.
No.
Let me explain how my pants work.
Chris, no one cares. No one cares about how your pants work. Okay? Do you have anything relevant? Simmons just introduced you to your Christian Minecraft server, and you're talking about an Allen wrench falling down your pants.
Well, that was to distract people, and hot damn, it worked.
Oh my god! All right, so
Chris,
that's all I got
why
on
do you
that
have an Allen
topic.
wrench down
Yeah,
your
that's all
shorts?
he has. Because I was fiddling with it in my hands.
Fiddling with your
and
nuts,
I
eh?
dropped it on my lap.
The wrench.
And then I dropped it in my lap, and I'm wearing basketball shorts, so you have like a kind of mesh layer on the
Chris,
outside, and you've got a
Chris.
solid layer on the inside, and one thing led to another.
Why
You fiddling with?
Why are you wearing basketball shorts?
I'm lazy, and it's comfy.
I mean, I guess.
Get sweatpants like a normal person.
Yeah.
No, I would get
From
hot.
fiddling.
What?
I would get hot in sweatpants.
Oh boy. Okay. Goodness. Do you have any more topics you want to go on to, or do you think?
Yes, in Frickfrock news. So Frickfrock,
I
how
wanna
long
talk
have you
about
been
it.
using Windows 7? So, how upset are you to learn that there is now a full screen pop-up telling you that support will end soon? Do you feel like you caught it on the tail end?
Frickfrock has no comment. Hello, Frickfrock. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, Windows 7 users now getting a full screen pop-up reminder that support ends soon. It ends on January 14th next year, by the way. Just upgrade to Windows 10. Just do it. Don't be a freaking idiot nerd.
Or if you really are that against going to Windows 10,
just get Windows 8.
No.
boy.
Just be that guy on Reddit and download your favorite flavor of Linux.
Ooh,
Like,
do
seriously.
you want to?
People don't do that on Reddit. They just threaten to do that on Reddit.
Do you want an unpopular but spicy opinion?
Yes.
Windows 8 is to Windows 10 what Windows Vista is to Windows 7.
Okay, I'll accept it.
I'll buy it.
That's
That's inoffensive.
I've been saying that for years.
Like all the even numbered windows were bad and the odd ones were good.
It's TikTok, but like literal explosion in terms of the the tick.
Well,
And the only reason Windows 10 is even is because so many programs would check for the string Windows 9 in order to like determine program compatibility. So Windows 9 would be treated the same as 95 or 98.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fair.
Well,
I
then
still think. Sorry, I just still think that they're going to drop the 10 moniker.
Yeah,
They're
it's just
going
going
to
to
go Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially as
so-
like software as a service becomes more and more of a thing.
I guess in that
SaaS.
same analogy of Windows Vista to Windows 7, would that be Windows ME to Windows XP?
What about
No, but
2000?
ME was
2000
garbage.
after or before?
Yeah,
ME?
exactly.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, so Vista actually wasn't that bad. It was just
Vista is
bad.
fine. People
at
that
the
say
time.
Vista was bad never
Like
used Vista.
I used Vista.
You might have
it
used
really
Vista,
wasn't
but I
that bad.
lived Vista.
I
So
used
trust
Vista
me,
and I had a
it's
lot of
not
problems
bad.
with it.
No, I think it is one of. Straight up, it is the. I want to say most overhyped. What's the opposite way? Like
Underhyped?
everyone. No, not underhyped, but everyone, especially on Reddit. Actually, no, everyone everywhere thinks Vista is the worst thing that Microsoft has ever done. Obviously,
No.
they didn't see Windows ME, but it's and I think a vast majority of
They
those
got
people
moved
just
to death.
never used it. Like it was
Here was the problem: is
most underrated. Sorry.
I think Windows Vista was in that weird, because remember Windows XP was highly regarded just due to its robustness, but also the ability
Dude,
to
it's
just
so
break
simple.
it. But
Oh.
just the ability to break it on command if you really wanted to. And Windows
Yeah.
Vista was in that weird in between state where
it
you still had.
it introduced you can't delete System 32. That was I
It
think
got
Vista.
rid of it, introduced user account control as well. I'm not
Yes.
sure if it was Vista or if it was a different operating system, but Microsoft actually got sued by antivirus publishers because they made their.
It was Vista.
Yeah, but they were like getting rid of the ability to hook into like certain system DLLs because that's a security thing. So antivirus guys were like, "Oh, you're trying to cripple our product by not letting us hack your system to check for viruses." And I don't actually remember the outcome of that, and I'm too lazy to look it up. But I would not be surprised if that were Vista. I think the biggest issue with like Vista's performance, number one, user experience was we went from assuming everybody's an admin to assuming that you don't necessarily have privileges. But also we went to a 3D desktop with Windows Aero, and GPUs weren't that great back then.
No.
And
And that's just what it came down to, is like Windows Vista, once you started disabling Arrow, it was actually not that bad. But I did notice that, especially in a lot of multi-threaded tasks, sometimes the scheduler would just kind of choke.
yeah.
So
But again, that was
my biggest
also
complaint.
when like multi-core processors were new. I mean, hell, the Pentium D and the Athlon X2 came out in 2005.
right.
These were like, this was server hardware a few years prior.
Well, and then I would also make the same parallel that, like, especially with when the Zen processors first came out, and everybody was complaining because Windows 10 could not handle the scheduling properly for the Zen architecture for several months.
Because it was kind of sort of NUMA, but only up to L3 cache.
Exactly.
Actually, what is it? NUCA, non-uniform cache access, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the same. It's the same shit, just different generation.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, actually, there was a recent Windows update that helped the scheduler as well.
Oh yeah.
1909. Sorry, 1909 has a bunch of scheduler updates, which is really neat.
Yeah. I mean, not surprised because
I noticed a remarkable performance improvement going into 1909.
Like,
Wait,
here's
you're
the deal.
1909?
Yeah,
Because you have to opt into it.
I did.
Okay.
Because
I
like,
didn't-
here's the deal: just because you have the hardware doesn't mean you can use it. You need to have the software to go with it, and
Oh,
schedulers are really hard. Like, arguably writing a good scheduler is harder than the silicon part.
Spicy meme as well. It also had performance improvements for almost all of Intel's lineup as well as AMD's, by the way. It's not just AMD specific scheduler improvements.
Although I'm sure what with the introduction of Zen 2,
AMD takes more benefit from it because they have more cores. But they said like they were
more cores and a weirder arrangement.
Yeah, don't go take these like sort of literally, but Microsoft were like, oh yeah, up to 15% performance on single core load, which is
wow, that's good.
Yeah, but I mean, don't take it literally. That's going to be something like edge case stuff. So
yeah,
anything is better than nothing. I will be interested to see if I run like a 3D Mark benchmark, if I get even a few points higher, or if it's like purely just into like operating system tasks. Anyway, I think we are about done here, unless you want to talk about
the chickens.
Nah, I think we're done.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on this rather ranty podcast. Definitely ranting, not just done by me.
Yeah, or me.
Mostly just me. Yes. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you Frick Frock for joining. Thank you Simmons and Chris and Andrew, who's gone to make some Japanese soup.
And thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.
Bye.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone, and goodbye.
Wait, we need to clap. We need to clap. We haven't clapped. Just cut it off like somewhere in the middle.